An advanced alien force arrived on Earth, expecting an easy win. They had powerful weapons, advanced machines, and believed humans would quickly surrender. To them we were weak, a small obstacle in their path. But as soon as they attacked, they realized something. They were wrong. Humans didn't run. They didn't hide. Instead, people stood up to fight back, surprising the invaders completely. These aliens, called the Ikar, thought we would be scared and helpless. But from the very first battle, they saw something they didn't expect: bravery, strength, and unity. People from every place and background came together to protect their home. They fought not just to survive, but to defend the world and everything they loved. This story isn't just about alien weapons or human strength. It's about the spirit of humanity. It's about how people stand together and don't give up, even in the face of something terrifying. The aliens soon understood they had made a huge mistake. Humans didn't back down. They fought with a courage that no machine could break. One day, without warning, strange ships appeared in the sky. People looked up, unsure of what they were seeing. At first, there was confusion. Were they just passing by? Was it a message from another world? But soon it became clear. These ships belonged to an alien force, the Ikar, and they weren't here to make friends. They had come to take over. The Ikar were powerful and confident, with machines and weapons that were far beyond anything humans had seen before. They believed Earth would be an easy target, a world that could be controlled with little effort. They had no doubt that humans would be afraid, maybe even so scared that they'd surrender right away. All over the world, people felt a mix of fear and disbelief. This wasn't just some story or movie, it was happening for real. Earth's governments scrambled to understand the threat, but the Ikar moved fast. They sent a clear message. They had come to rule, and anyone who resisted would be crushed. For a moment, it seemed like humanity's fate was sealed. But even in the face of such a powerful enemy, humans felt something strong inside, a desire to protect their home. People weren't ready to just give up. The Ikar saw a world filled with simple creatures who would be easy to control, but what they found was a force much stronger than they had expected. In the middle of this crisis, a few brave people stood out, ready to lead and protect. At the front of the fight was Captain Briggs. He was a natural leader, calm and strong, even when everything around him seemed to be falling apart. He believed that humans were tougher than the aliens thought, and he inspired his team to keep fighting, no matter how hard things got. His courage gave hope to everyone around him. Then there was Private Jackson, one of the youngest soldiers in the group. Jackson hadn't been in many battles before, and the idea of facing such a powerful enemy was terrifying. But he didn't let fear stop him. He looked up to leaders like Briggs, and he was ready to do whatever it took to help. Even though he was young, Jackson showed a bravery that was beyond his years. And then we had Sergeant Morales, a seasoned soldier who had seen many battles in his life. Morales was tough, smart, and always stayed calm under pressure. He knew how to think fast and how to find a way to win, even when the odds were against him. To Morales, protecting his people was more important than anything, and he would go to any length to make sure they stayed safe. These three, Briggs, Jackson, and Morales, each brought something special to the fight. They were different in many ways, but they shared a common goal: to defend their home, no matter the cost. Together, they became a powerful force, inspiring others and leading the charge against the alien threat. When the Ikar launched their first attack, they thought it would be over quickly. Their weapons were powerful, with bright plasma blasts and machines that could destroy almost anything in their path. The Ikar commanders were certain that humans would see this and immediately give up. But as they moved forward, they realized humans were not going to make it easy. Captain Briggs and his team were ready. Instead of running or hiding, they used clever tactics to fight back. They knew they couldn't match the Ikar's advanced technology, so they relied on strategy. Briggs led his team in small, surprising attacks, hitting the aliens when they least expected it. The humans used everything they could find, setting traps and attacking from hidden spots. The E-Car weren't prepared for this kind of fight. Even young Jackson showed incredible bravery. Though he was new to battle, he learned quickly, taking notes from Morales and Briggs. He moved quietly and struck fast, catching the aliens off guard. Morales, with his years of experience, knew exactly where to hit. He found weak points in the alien machines and showed his team how to exploit them. Every small victory gave the humans more courage and made the E-Car wonder if they had misjudged this simple species. The E-Car started to realize that this wasn't going to be the easy win they had expected. Humans weren't running. They were fighting back with everything they had, using their knowledge of the land and their fierce will to survive. For the first time, the E-Car commanders felt a hint of doubt. Maybe these humans were stronger than they thought. The E-Car had technology that was far beyond anything humans had ever seen. Their weapons fired blasts of plasma, their machines moved swiftly across any terrain, and they had shields that made them nearly invincible. To the E-Car, their technology was their greatest strength. They believed it would make them unstoppable, but they didn't count on one thing: human ingenuity. Humans quickly realized they couldn't match the E-Car's power directly, so they found another way to fight. They studied the alien machines, searching for any weaknesses. They noticed small details, like how the E-Car's energy shields would flicker when hit from certain angles, or how their machines would overheat if pushed too hard. Morales, with his experience, led efforts to test these weaknesses, showing his team exactly where and when to strike. Captain Briggs encouraged his soldiers to think creatively. He knew that, while they didn't have the same advanced tools, they had something just as valuable: the ability to adapt. Briggs and his team began setting traps, using simple weapons in unexpected ways to outsmart the aliens. They turned abandoned buildings and narrow streets into obstacles, forcing the E-Car to move slowly and carefully. Every small trick and tactic made it harder for the E-Car to advance. Private Jackson also played his part, learning quickly from his leaders. He used what he had: a basic rifle, limited supplies, and a strong will. When he and others targeted weak spots in the alien machines, they found they could actually damage them, even if just a little. These small victories added up, slowing down the E-Car's advance and causing confusion among their ranks. As the humans kept pushing back, the E-Car realized their technology wasn't as invincible as they thought. Human ingenuity, creativity, and persistence turned every battle into a challenge. The E-Car commanders started to wonder if their advanced machines were enough to overcome the cleverness and resilience of Earth's defenders. As the battles went on, the fighting grew more intense. The E-Car, frustrated by the humans' resistance, began to strike harder and with more force. They increased their attacks, hoping to break the humans' spirit once and for all. But instead of giving up, people from every corner of the world joined together, determined to defend their home. Captain Briggs led his soldiers with even more courage, inspiring those around him to keep pushing forward. His team had suffered losses, and every soldier knew the risks, but they also knew what was at stake. They weren't just fighting for themselves, they were fighting for their families, friends, and the future of Earth. This shared purpose made them stronger, uniting them in ways the E-Car couldn't understand. Young Private Jackson, though scared, stepped up in ways no one expected. He worked alongside the others, moving quickly in dangerous areas, taking on tasks that many wouldn't dare. With each passing day, he became braver, showing that even the newest fighters could make a difference. Jackson's courage inspired others, showing that every person's effort counted, no matter how big or small. Sergeant Morales, with his experience and steady presence, became a guiding force for the younger soldiers. He took on missions that seemed impossible, leading small groups into dangerous territory to strike the E-Car where it hurt most. Morales knew the risks but accepted them, showing his team that sometimes sacrifice was needed to protect what mattered most. All around, people sacrificed comfort, safety, and even their lives. Nations that once disagreed now stood together as one, united by a common goal. This unity confused the Ikar, who had never seen such a strong bond among a species. They expected fear and surrender, but what they faced was a force bound by loyalty, love, and a refusal to give up. The Ikar couldn't understand why humans fought so hard, even when outnumbered and overpowered. But it was this unity and willingness to sacrifice that made humanity strong. Each loss only strengthened their resolve, showing the Ikar that Earth's defenders were not just soldiers. They were a united force, willing to do whatever it took to protect their world. On the other side of the battlefield, Ikar Commander Kanox watched in frustration and disbelief. He had led many conquests across different planets, each one falling quickly to the Ikar's power. But Earth was different. Despite all his advanced weapons, his powerful machines, and his carefully planned attacks, the humans weren't backing down. No matter how hard his forces struck, the humans kept coming back, stronger each time. At first, Kanox had dismissed humanity as weak and primitive, a species that would surely break under the might of the Ikar. But as the battles continued, he started to see them differently. These humans didn't have the same technology or strength, yet they fought with a courage he hadn't seen before. Every time he thought he'd finally crushed them, they found a way to fight back. It was as if they were fueled by something he couldn't quite understand. Kanox began to notice the small things, how humans worked together, how they protected each other, and how they seemed to grow stronger, not weaker, in the face of loss. He saw leaders like Captain Briggs rallying their troops, pushing them forward with words of encouragement. He saw soldiers like Jackson and Morales risking their lives to protect their friends and take down his forces. These weren't just soldiers, they were a united, determined force, driven by something far deeper than survival. For the first time, Kanox felt something unfamiliar, a sense of doubt. He had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, but now he realized this battle was unlike any he had faced before. The humans weren't giving up. They fought with a spirit that couldn't be broken, no matter how powerful his weapons were. Kanox began to understand that humanity's strength wasn't in their technology. It was in their will, their unity, and their refusal to surrender. As dawn broke over the battlefield, both sides prepared for what would be the final, decisive clash. The humans knew this would be their last chance to defend their home. Every soldier, every civilian who had joined the fight stood ready, their faces filled with both fear and determination. Captain Briggs looked over his team, knowing the sacrifices they had made and the strength they had shown. He took a deep breath, then raised his voice, rallying everyone for one last push, one final stand. Across the field, Kanox and the Ikar forces gathered for the assault. Kanox was determined to crush the humans once and for all, but he couldn't shake the doubt that had settled in his mind. This species was unlike any he had ever faced. He knew they would give everything they had, and for the first time, he wasn't certain his forces could overpower them. The battle began with a fierce intensity. Plasma blasts lit up the sky, and explosions shook the ground. Humans and Ikar fought side by side, each pushing forward with everything they had. Briggs led his team through the chaos, calling out commands and encouraging his soldiers, keeping them focused on the goal. Jackson, the young private, moved fearlessly, striking at every opportunity, showing the courage he had built up throughout the war. Morales was right beside him, using his experience to guide their attacks, always keeping an eye on his team. As the fighting continued, the humans pushed forward, gaining ground bit by bit. They struck at the Ikar's weak points, using every tactic they had learned over the battles. The Ikar forces began to falter, surprised by the humans' relentless spirit and strength. In one final, powerful move, Briggs and his team led a charge straight through the heart of the Ikar forces, breaking their line and throwing them into chaos. Kenox watched as his forces began to fall back, overwhelmed by the humans' courage and unity. He had never seen anything like it. The humans were victorious, not because of their weapons or numbers, but because of their unstoppable spirit. As the last of the Ikar forces withdrew, Earth's defenders stood together, battered but unbroken, having proven that they would do whatever it took to protect their world. As the dust settled over the battlefield, the scale of what had happened began to sink in. The humans had done the impossible. They had defended their planet against an enemy far more powerful than themselves. But this victory had come at a heavy cost. Many brave soldiers had fallen, and cities lay in ruins. Families mourned the loss of loved ones, and the scars of the battle were everywhere. Yet, even in the face of these losses, there was a deep sense of pride and unity among the survivors. Captain Briggs looked around at his team, the men and women who had fought beside him through every challenge. He saw young Jackson, tired but standing tall, and Morales, still strong despite everything he had endured. Together, they had shown the Ikar and the universe that humans wouldn't surrender, no matter the odds. Their victory was not just a win against the aliens, it was proof of the strength that comes from unity, sacrifice, and an unbreakable will. The Ikar had come expecting an easy victory, but they had left with a lesson they would never forget. They had underestimated the power of a united people, of a spirit that refused to be broken. Earth was safe, but this safety had been earned through immense bravery and the sacrifices of countless heroes. As the sun rose over the now quiet battlefield, the survivors gathered, honoring those who had given their lives and feeling a renewed sense of connection to each other and to their home. They had faced the unimaginable and won, not just because of their weapons, but because they had stood together, willing to give everything to protect their world. And in that unity, they found a strength that no force could ever conquer. In the end, this story was not just about an alien invasion or a fierce battle. It was about the enduring spirit of humanity. The Ikar came to Earth with every advantage, confident in their power, but they hadn't counted on the strength that comes from unity, courage, and the will to survive. Through every challenge, every loss, and every hard-fought victory, humans showed a spirit that couldn't be broken. Captain Briggs, young Jackson, Sergeant Morales, and countless others proved that humanity is defined by its resilience. They stood together, fought together, and sacrificed together, driven by something the Ikar couldn't understand, a deep love for their home and for each other. Their bravery reminded the world, and even their enemies, of what humans are capable of when they refuse to give up. As Earth begins to heal and rebuild, the story of this victory will live on. It's a reminder that no matter the threat, no matter the odds, humanity has an inner strength that no force can defeat. In the face of the impossible, humans don't back down, they rise up. And this enduring spirit will continue, showing the universe that Earth's defenders are strong, united, and unbreakable.